All businesses have stakeholders, from owners, directors, C-level people, workers, administrative staff, shareholders, board of directors, end users, I guess, consumers. There's a big, miasmus of people involved in any business, in any industry, and people that profit, people that need things to happen a certain way in a business, even if it's a family business. It doesn't have to be family members. It can be any of the stakeholders who need things done a certain way because they're super attached to various outcomes. Outcomes, of course, being further success, monetary gain, monopolizing an industry or making gains in an industry, and certain industries, they're hardcore, they're cutthroat, they take a lot of money to be invested to get licenses, or they take a lot of money to invest in the right equipment. They take a lot of negotiation and deal making to get contracts, and there's a few industries involved circling around the life of Suzanne Morphew. If you're investigating her missing person status, absolutely, everyone agrees, yes, investigate Barry Morphew. Even though he hasn't been cleared or made a person of interest, we all understand that he needs to be considered, but he's in an industry where there's a lot at stake for a lot of people, and there's a lot of going-ons that maybe aren't so kosher, and innocent people get hurt all the time. Same with the medical marijuana industry. This is a very expensive industry to get into. People say it might be easy in Colorado, because you can get licenses for individual use and everything. But if you want to be on a commercial scale and be one of the big 20, the big 10, all of the licenses and everything, they are super expensive. And there's 12, 15, whatever, different bits of licensing and bureaucracy that you have to pay for and qualify for before you can go into business. And it includes, paperwork, the right land, that sort of thing, certain business practices, etc. All the way through to what you're growing, the quality of it meeting certain parameters, might be like, below 0.3% THC, or what have you. And there's a lot of wheelings and things in motion, cogs. It's extremely complicated, as can be the landscaping industry, the construction industry, the demolition industry, whether you're in private, public sectors. And to not consider that Suzanne is this collateral damage of some business dealing, someone that wasn't happy, or did she find something out, or other than it being just a rage or premeditated event to get rid of a spouse, or a stranger danger. There's plenty of people to investigate around Barry Morphew, his work, the Moorman family and their businesses, it's a joke to say that, oh, you can't cast aspersions on that industry. They are a family business that is all legitimate. Well, sure, yes, but don't try and don't take us for fools, and don't patronise us talking about these industries as just where nothing can be going wrong, where there's no muscling, no heaviness, no maneuvering. It takes planning skills. It takes strategic ability to run these businesses. It takes some very strong financial and horticultural know-how. It takes the know-how of all sorts of legality, legislation. You need all sorts of advice, and you need a lot of money. To simplify it down to as if it's just someone running any other business, there's shenanigans and jostling in any business, competitiveness, right? But to boil it all down as if it's like someone that's just running a gym or a local shop and is just redonkulous, because that is purposefully taking out the complexity and the dynamics of an industry where reputations, fortunes, etc. are bought and sold daily. And people say Barry was against the medical marijuana industry. He wouldn't let Suzanne have pain relief from the product, which is kind of a shame, because it can give pain relief. It's like people that don't know to fast during certain treatments, or that the CBD oil, CDB, oh my God, cannabis, oil can relieve pain immeasurably. And that's sad, but it's okay to have principles, and it's okay, to make certain decisions, and you don't know what Suzanne felt about it, but maybe she did reject the family business. Maybe she knew something was going on, and she'd told them, look, you've got to stop this. I don't want you dealing with this person or that person, or using the land this way. And maybe through those connections, someone's thought, well, this is jeopardizing my career, my life, livelihood, my future. I don't want that to happen. I want this business to keep on running. And I want it to expand. People get paid off all the time. There's corruption everywhere. There's deals made. Oh, well, you do this for me, and, you'll get that house for cheap, or that land for free, or there are. Don't be naive. Don't be children. Come on. It doesn't mean it happens in every case, and that there are not upstanding people working in local council and government and etc. But it happens all the time, everywhere you go, in every industry, okay? The whys and hows of contracts being awarded. Even in the industry I was in, where, you'll get an architectural job if, you supply $10,000 worth of outdoor furniture to a company, to a private, to an architect or designer, otherwise you just don't get the job. And it happens everywhere, okay? You can't see that. You're very naive and you're not looking at the world for what it is. Not everyone's like that, and we don't like it, and that's why people leave industries, left the industry, but because you don't want that in your as a burden. It's a burden, right? So, but not everyone has that luxury, and people get caught up in things as well. I don't know, it's just very intriguing. It is a mystery. It's an absolute mystery. Because there's lots and lots of players here that could be involved. It might just simply be Barry Morphew for reasons that a few of you think you understand, and you might be right. I'm struggling to understand them. I mean, motive is so important. Motive is everything, really. Nearly, I don't know. Motive is so key here. So write a list of what could be the motives, and what do you come up with? If you're honest, you don't simply just come up with affair, wanted her money, didn't love her anymore, etc. With Barry Morphew. That is not the only motive and suspect that a sane, rational person can come up with. It's simply not. It's simply not. It doesn't matter that, it doesn't mean that, okay, that you're sane and rational if you're coming up with some pretty way out ideas. But there's quite a few motives, quite a few players. There are people, if you truly looked and wrote a list with an open heart, go, okay, I have to not think, well, someone wouldn't do that. I mean, why can you assume a husband can do something, but then a family's colleague couldn't, or another distant family member couldn't, or some sort of stakeholder couldn't? How come it's easier to think, I mean, you're assuming a crime of passion or hate. Maybe it's a crime of business. Maybe it's a crime of self-preservation. I hope we all find out so that, can be put to rest. And another thing though, sometimes arrests don't mean anything either, because people get arrested when they're not guilty as well. But I do want an arrest, and if it's Barry Morphew, it's Barry Morphew. And I'd wait and hear the charges and the who, what, where, how. I'm pretty sure he'd want a trial. If he doesn't go to trial, it's very strange. And people seem to think that I really love making the videos I do against people such as Andrew Moorman and things. I don't. I make them, it's an exercise to show you another thought process that you could have just as easily as thinking about Barry Morphew, and how you can just as easily bring up a motive, means, intention, all of these sorts of things against other people other than Barry Morphew. I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy bullying Andrew Moorman, or bringing pain to the Moorman family and anything. But it is a fact that if you think Barry Morphew's done something to Suzanne, which yes, I can't keep saying it enough. Yes, he might have. It's also possible that someone else has. And there's many people that those someone else's could be. And that's why I say these things. Because when you're imagining a real person just with a potato for a head, or they're a cartoon, you know, when you're imagining someone as a cartoon and calling them names like Bear, Berry, etc., it's dehumanizing them. And it's easy just to laugh and joke along and hate and things. And, you know, I'm continually having people commenting on my channel about things, but this, and this. And it's like, but hold on, that's not a known fact. So you're basing an argument on that to me, are you? Quite often they delete their comments after that. Quite often. And sometimes, you know, I do respond a bit snappily. I wish I didn't. I used to never respond, or I would be more kind, and then I've started going off. Bleh. Or I've started blocking people. I don't know how many I've got blocked. I used to have 1 or 2. It might be 10 or 20 now. I'm not sure. I know some channels that have hundreds of people blocked. So I guess I'm kind of lucky because I don't get as much trollage as some people, or cruel comments as some people. I'm very happy to have criticism, but depending on what your argument is, and that's when it just makes me annoyed. And, you know, and some people think that I'm just a massive troll. I didn't start my channel in May. I didn't start my channel in May or June or July, you know. And by that I just mean uploading videos. I started uploading videos about the carnivore diet, about my pets, about pet diets, about body image, about the apocalypse, and the clusterfuck 19. I was uploading videos about wildlife. I had been an avid follower of Watts and other cases, but I didn't start uploading videos about that case. I started a couple about Gannon Stauch, Letitia Harden. I made a few there. There's some in that playlist. I did make some sort of vaguely about Nicole Kessinger and Christopher Watts and Shanann Ruzek, and you know, about, yeah, men are afraid of being humiliated or taken for a ride, and women, well, we just don't want you to kill us. And then something about Suzanne Morphew. Well, I mean, you know, Suzanne Morphew just hit me like a stone, and I followed her from Dot, and I started making videos on the 1st of June. But, you know, I haven't just cropped up to troll everyone about Suzanne Morphew and Barry Morphew. I was a huge supporter of Brandon at Tube Crime before this, and I've mentioned him in videos before in my Fort Hood. Is that in a playlist or just in general crimes? You know, I mention him because, you know, I used to watch him. He made some punchy, short, great videos about what was going on in the States, and it really struck a chord with me how he did it. It wasn't these statements in the same way that he's making now, but it was highlighting cases and aspects of cases. And there was no one like him. I mean, there's Crime Prime, and there are other, you know, there's lots of, not really them, but, you know, he was unique, and he is unique. and talented and everything. And I encouraged him to keep going because, you know, he was obviously doing his channel for a reason and getting something out of it, and maybe he just needed a break sort of thing. And then Suzanne Morphew thing exploded, and we used to banter about that, and then I, just like with Profiling Evil, I thought, look, the stance here isn't being level enough and fair enough based on what we're knowing as it comes out, and fair enough to take a stance. I think once people are arrested or the trial's on or something like that, but this isn't the case here with missing woman Suzanne Morphew. And there's a lot of very saddening shenanigans, and that's why I've started making the videos I have. I mean, you know, my Barry Morphew videos used to be very different. They used to talk with you about, yeah, let's look at this, like it could be this or this, couldn't it, Barry's situation and actions? Could he be, you know, in firefighter mode and cool as a cucumber because he's having just to get on? I mean, I guess that's the mode I'm in now with, you know, I'm not falling apart about, I mean, you can see the ravages a little bit here, you know, because my cat Autumn has died. But, you know, I'm just in some sort of mode, I don't know what at the moment, you know, or, you know, and I'd ponder, well, you know, is he just in this action mode, or is it because, you know, when you know the outcome of something already, you don't need to worry, sort of thing. I pondered things like that, pondered how he could have got her off the mountain, and because I'm convinced she left the house alive, convinced, you know, so how he could easily get her in a car, or someone could, and what directions they could go in. And I used to ponder that sort of thing, and but then I just felt like, wow, this is just out of control. What are people seeing here when these things come to light, and making these videos about that just seem so out of proportion with what you're being shown? And then someone's got a potato head and different names. And I know Brandon does sometimes say, you know, Mr. Barry Morphew and things like that, but really to present someone to you all the time as a cartoon with a potato for a head and in a funny manner and called a different name, it's very dehumanizing, and it's making up things about him having girlfriends and what he's done with the bobcat and things like that. That, sure, okay, may be the case, but there is no proof or evidence or whatever that Barry Morphew has a girlfriend or love children, or that he wanted to leave Suzanne, or that she wanted to leave Barry. There's, you know, the bobcat is, yeah, it's a character here, isn't it? It really is a huge part of what's going on, and everybody wants to know about the bobcat, but there's no point making things up about it, and there's no point trying to say Barry Morphew said bobcat because it's psychological leakage, or when he says mountain lion, he's thinking about bobcat. I mean, he's thinking about a mountain lion, most likely, you know. So things like that, it's just, you're taking things out of the realm of watching and deliberating and analyzing, and into the realm of creation and interpretation, and as if it's, I know you feel very, I mean, why feel so connected to someone that's nothing to do with you? It's natural to want to solve the crime and to feel that this is, oh, an abomination, that something violent has happened to her, and, you know, to feel as a citizen we want to clean up crime, we want to solve crime, but to feel so personally moved and touched and wrenched and deranged from a stranger going missing is quite unusual and bizarre. And, you know, it's like people that have photographs of missing women in their home or in their studio, you know, and things like that. I mean, that's just a little bit sicky icky. Feel passionate, feel concerned, but you know, this isn't your wife, your sister, your daughter. Yes, it might be, but it just seems it's strange, and I have genuine concern. Genuine concern, yeah. Yeah. As do a lot of people that are speaking up about this. It's, we don't want anyone harmed or feeling sick or feeling mentally stressed, fatigued. You know, you wonder what lengths will someone go to. Sorry, I've got to apologize, like my voice, the sound of my voice, I'm yelling, I'm not speaking in my nicest voice now and everything. I mean, I haven't been well for a while, and of course, you know, yeah, so it all affects your throat and your sinuses and everything, crying and stuff. But so I'm sorry, and this is a very long video about that, but I hope people understand what I'm saying. And